and welcome back to WCCF Tech TV. This is Keith once again, and today we've got a fresh leak of the Ryzen Threadripper 1950X, and this is coming in with less than a day to go for the official launch. To give you guys an idea of what to expect whenever it launches tomorrow, we're looking at the AMD Ryzen Threadripper 1950X at 4.1 gigahertz, and this thing is nuts. This leak comes courtesy of a Redditor who has actually managed to get his hands on a 1950X early and not only started benchmarking it, but also did so after overclocking it. This is one of the several reports we're seeing of late indicating that Threadripper is surprisingly a better overclocker than mainstream Ryzens. The consensus seems to be that a 4 GHz overclock on all cores is within reach on most Threadripper chips. The owner of this particular 1950X reported achieving a 4 GHz overclock on all cores at 1.25 volts with a Thermaltake 3.0 liquid cooler. And that's simply unattainable by the majority of mainstream Ryzen processors at that voltage. Even ours that we have for our 1800X is an excellent overclocker with voltages, but still requires 1.325 volts. We can do 3.9 at 1.25, but not 4 gigahertz, so this is good to see. And the owner of the chip tested it once at 4.1 gigahertz in Geekbench 3 and once at 4 gigahertz in Cinebench R15. And the motherboard he used is the ASRock, however the precise model wasn't exactly specified. All 8 memory DIMMs were populated with DDR4 3066 MHz memory, which again is a good showing because at launch with Ryzen that wasn't exactly a common thing. Now let's start off with the Cinebench R15 result here. The 1950X manages to deliver a whopping 3,337 points with all 16 of its cores running at 4 GHz. And by comparison, the similarly priced Core i7 7900X gets 2169 points, and the 7850XE gets 3200. Of course that's stock, and that's what Intel was boasting about, but it's showing the 1950X once overclocked is able to surpass that. Not a whole lot, but it does get past it for half the price. Compared to the 7900X, that comes up to about 35% plus difference when both chips are overclocked. At 4.1 gigahertz, the figures become even more astronomical for Threadripper. The chip manages a score of 58,391 points in Geekbench 3, which is not only by far the highest score for any desktop processor that we've seen, but also secures a 37% lead over the 7900X overclocked to 4.5 gigahertz, which manages a score around 42,600 points in the same test. Now I know some people are going to be confused about comparing it to the 7900X because of its core count, but it is the same price competitor to the chip. Now, the Ryzen Threadripper 1950X is by far the most powerful desktop chip that we have seen to date, and once overclocked, the performance jumps astronomically. We've also got reports over on the site showing the Threadripper 1950X leading by 45% or better to the 7900. So if you want to see that information, hit the link down in the description below, as well as going on over to WCCFtech.com for even more information. And this has been Keith with WCCF Tech TV, and we will catch you guys all in the next video.